I'm 78 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that might surprise you. 5 years ago, at the age of 73, I left my wife after 54 years of marriage. And that decision was both the hardest and the best decision I've ever made. I know what you're thinking. 73. Isn't that too late to start over? Why would anyone leave a marriage after more than 50 years? Maybe you think I was unstable. Maybe you think I was selfish. Maybe you think I was having some kind of crisis. From the outside, I understand why it looks that way. But on the inside, I was finally breathing. And if you're sitting in an unhappy marriage right now, telling yourself you've already invested too much time, or that you're too old to begin again, I need you to hear this. I spent decades believing the same lies you might be believing right now. But before I tell you why I left, I need to tell you why I stayed for so long. Because that's the part nobody talks about. Everyone wants to know what finally made you leave. No one asks about the invisible chains that keep you there, year after year. I was born in a small town just outside Hollywood, Florida. Life was simple, but it was strict. My parents believed in hard work, respect, and loyalty. They said things like, a man must provide. A man must sacrifice. Never complain. I took those words seriously, too seriously. As a child, I watched my mother quietly give everything to my father. She never spoke up when she disagreed. She smiled, nodded, and the house kept running. My father, on the other hand, had a loud voice, an opinion on everything, and no patience for anyone who challenged him. I promised myself one thing. When I grew up, I would avoid anger. I would avoid conflict. I would be dependable. I would work hard. I would protect the people I loved. But I didn't realize that lesson also taught me something dangerous. It taught me that my own voice didn't matter as much as everyone else's. By the time I was 20, I had learned to swallow my desires. I believed my worth was in endurance, in silent sacrifice. Little did I know I was planting the seeds of decades of invisibility. I met Linda when I was 22. She had a smile that could light up a room. Sharp, clever, determined. I thought she was perfect. I thought I was perfect for her. We got married 2 years later, in 1977. I was 24. She was 22. Life seemed simple. Steady jobs, a small apartment in Cleveland. Weekends spent with family. I believed in forever. I believed in partnership. I believed love was enough. And for a while, it seemed enough. But the first signs were subtle. At first, I noticed it in conversations that ended with my ideas being brushed aside. Then it was decisions about our home, the car, the vacations, all made without asking me. Slowly I realized my opinions didn't matter. I remember suggesting that I might want to finish my degree in history. Linda laughed, not cruelly, but dismissively. What would you even do with that? She asked. We can't afford it now. And I nodded. I smiled. I didn't argue. I thought that's what marriage meant. Compromise, sacrifice, being realistic. Little did I know that realism was just another word for erasure. Then we had children. 3 beautiful children. My life had purpose again. I told myself I endure for them. I sacrifice for them. I protect them. And I did. I worked nights, sometimes 2, 3 nights a week, just to make sure Linda was happy. I skipped taking tablets for my own headaches to save money. I made sure she had small luxuries while I went without. I remember evenings where I would cook my own food quietly. There would be no dinner on the table for me, but I would make hers first. Even as my body ached, even as my head throbbed, I believed that was love. Linda controlled everything. She would tell me bluntly, if you give even $1 to your mother or father, I will leave this house. Not $1. And she did this while sending half of my salary to her family every month. I didn't say anything, I just complied. She refused to let me invest. She refused to let me plan. She refused to let me have even a small piece of control over my own life. At night, I often sat alone in the living room, my head pounding from exhaustion. I wouldn't even take tablets because I was saving money for her happiness. I was invisible. I had been invisible for decades. Over the years, Linda and I became polite strangers. We attended family events together. We hosted dinners. We smiled at guests. We laughed at school events. But behind closed doors, silence. I remember our 25th anniversary. Our children threw a party. Friends toasted our beautiful marriage. I smiled. I said thank you. But that night, alone in the bedroom, I cried quietly into my pillow. Decades of silence had turned into decades of loneliness. It was late afternoon when I came home. I had my house key in my hand. I had finished a long night shift. My body was tired. My head was throbbing. But I wanted to surprise her. Maybe just have a quiet evening together. I opened the door and I froze. On our bed, there she was, with a man I had never seen before. Not one piece of clothing on either of them. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I didn't even speak. I just stood there, my hands trembling. I felt alive and dead at the same time. Everything I had sacrificed, every night, shift, every skipped meal, every headache endured, every dollar saved to make her happy had led to this. And suddenly, I realized something I had been denying for decades. I had given my life to someone who did not value it. I thought about slapping her. I thought about calling the police. I thought about destroying everything I had built. But I stopped. I realized anger would solve nothing. Violence would not heal decades of invisibility. And revenge would trap me even longer in her world. I stepped back. I called her parents. I called her uncle. I told them the truth. And that night, I ended the marriage. Not with shouting, not with arguments, not with public shame, with clarity. The days after, the weeks, were brutal. My sons couldn't understand at first. You always seemed fine, one said. I almost laughed, almost cried, because for decades I had hidden my pain so well. Even my children believed it was normal. I realized something else. I had given my wife everything: time, love, devotion, money, health, my nights, my weekends, my happiness, and she repaid me with betrayal. I had worked nights so she could sleep in comfort. I had gone without painkillers so she could have luxuries. I had sacrificed my health, my dignity, my voice. And that night, she lay with someone else in the bed we had shared for decades. Divorce at 73 isn't simple. It's painful, it's slow, it's expensive. Some friends disappeared. Family questioned me. Why now? You're throwing everything away. But I wasn't throwing anything away. I was finally taking it back. For decades, I had been a ghost in my own life. Now, for the first time, I was reclaiming it. Even the small things felt monumental. Signing my name, closing the house door behind me, sitting alone at the table. At 74, I moved into my own apartment. Small, modest, quiet, mine. I had to learn how to breathe again, how to eat without fear, how to exist without asking permission. I started cooking my own meals on my own schedule. I slept in my own bed. I read books I had shelved decades ago. I walked in the mornings. I joined small clubs. I volunteered. I even went on a date. It didn't last. But for the first time, I felt seen. And that feeling, it was worth all the pain. Looking back, I regret one thing, not leaving sooner. Not because I lost anything tangible, not because I failed, but because for decades, I disappeared. If I could speak to my younger self, I would say, don't wait. Don't let your loyalty be mistaken for weakness. Don't confuse sacrifice with inertia. So what did I learn? Your life matters. Even if everyone else seems fine, if you're disappearing, you're losing. Freedom is priceless. You don't need riches or youth, just courage. Sacrifice has limits. Giving everything to someone who won't respect it, who is not love. Courage is a muscle. Use it daily. Small acts count. Big ones change everything. It's never too late. At 73, I started over. I still had decades left. I want you to ask yourself, what silence are you holding on to that is costing you your life? What sacrifice have you made that wasn't appreciated? Who are you disappearing for? Write one word in the comments. That's your first step toward reclaiming your life. That night, when I came home and saw betrayal, I didn't just see my wife with another man. I saw myself. A man who had been loyal to everyone except himself. I promised one thing. I would never disappear again. I would speak my truth. I would take care of myself. I would protect my peace. And that's exactly what I did. If this story resonates, don't wait. Step into the life you've been avoiding. Speak up. Take care of yourself. Stop letting fear, shame, or obligation dictate your choices. Because the life you're waiting for is already waiting for you. And the longer you wait, the more silent years you give away. If this story helped you feel seen or less alone, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tell someone you know it's never too late to reclaim your life. Silence is optional. Courage is yours. Don't wait decades to live your freedom, dignity, and peace. They are waiting.